In this video, we will be talking about the solution and counter-argument assignment. This assignment is not considered a full essay. However, you will be writing it in paragraph format, but it's not a full essay in that it will not have a formal introduction, body, and conclusion. The purpose of this paper is to build your paper into mini paragraphs that you'll be able to utilize in your final paper. So please don't try to make this more than it needs to be, but do put forth the effort to make sure that you're creating a clear and concise argument in support of your thesis statement. Okay, so the first thing you are going to do is to present your claim, your thesis statement. Leave this separate. It should be a single sentence. It should be the first sentence of your paper. I don't need a hook. I don't need background information. I just want to review your thesis statement. Then you're going to go into your actual paper. This is where you're going to start to write paragraphs. Okay, so for section number 1, you're going to present your proposal. What is your proposed solution to the problem? Explain the specifics of the proposal, but don't argue it yet. You're not telling me why it will work. You're just telling me what you are proposing as part of this paper. Then the next part will be to prove why it will work. Okay, this is why it is feasible. Okay, so for section 2, this will be then second paragraph. You'll have a sentence, a paragraph 1, now we're into paragraph 2. And here you're going to discuss why your solution is feasible. How is it appropriate financially, legally, morally, ethically? Is it actually capable of being carried out? You do need to use a minimum of one source to support your arguments as you are presenting this portion of your paper. Now, I'm saying one paragraph, but it may be necessary for you to create 2 paragraphs to determine the feasibility of this part of the paper. So write what's appropriate for what your paper is discussing. Paragraph number 3, how does it solve the problem? Now remember, I'm not asking you to solve world peace or to come up with a conclusion or a solution that takes care of the entire issue. I just want you to give me a general idea of how this improves the situation. So here you're going to explain how your solution in 1 to 2 paragraphs provides a solution to the problem that you are addressing. You should have a minimum of one source to support your argument. Now, these might be the same source. Just because I'm saying one source here and one source here doesn't necessarily mean that they have to be different sources. They could be the same. But as you're putting your things together, remember that the more sources you use, the more validity you're adding to your own arguments. It also helps you from making sure that you don't inadvertently plagiarize by just summarizing somebody else's idea. Section 4, why is it the best solution possible? Why is this better than anything else that is being done in the world of your topic at this point? If you ever read A Modest Proposal, the story by Jonathan Swift, it was a satire in which he is addressing the issue of poverty and homelessness in Ireland. You'll remember that his solution was outlandish. His solution was eating babies. Okay, now obviously he did not intend for people to actually go out and, consume human flesh. However, his point was, in the end, as he asks everybody, do you have a better idea? His whole purpose in saying that was that is this really as good as it gets? Is this as creative as we can get? Is that we're going to go inhumane? Of course not. He really believed that somebody out there had a better solution and that we needed to put more efforts and resources towards the solution rather than just being complacent with the situation. So, as you're looking at your solution, what makes it the best? What makes it the best at this time in our situation? Then we're going to move on to section 5, and this is where we're going to switch gears, and quite frankly, where we're probably going to start switching resources. Some of you are going to find that this is super, super easy. Others are going to struggle a little bit here. Okay? Opposing viewpoint means that now you're addressing the other side of your argument. You're addressing the person who disagrees with the paper that you're addressing. But remember, in writing, we have to address our audience. Our audience is significantly important to our purpose behind writing, because we're not arguing this solution, this problem, this issue to the person who agrees with us, because then it just becomes that kind of paper, or I agree. Well, what's the point in reading that? The person that you're supposed to be affecting is the person who disagrees with you. So as you're looking at this, I want you to be researching now the other side of your issue. Provide a summary of the opposing viewpoint, or pick one or even two that you want to address. Who is coming up with this idea? This is an important piece of it. It can't be just this general, conspiracy theorist in my basement believes. No. That's an invalid argument, okay? You need to come up with an objector that is legitimate. Who's discussing this? How realistic is this other opinion? Explain the opposing viewpoint in 2 to 3 paragraphs. Summarize it and then discuss it. Provide sources if necessary, and they should be, and then you're going to counter argue it in 2 to 3 paragraphs. So explain what it is and why it exists, okay? What's the validity of it, okay? And then counter it. And in countering it, you're going to do one of two things. You're either going to concede or you're going to refute. If you concede in the counter argument, you're saying, yes, this argument is valid. However, and that's where you have to jump in and start figuring out what is my however. And your however should be something about how it's less significant, or it's not as important as all of these other things that you're prepared to discuss. Or you're going to refute it. Okay? You're going to refute it. You're going to explain why it's out and out wrong. What the argument that is being presented here, this opposing viewpoint, you're going to tell me why it's wrong. And if you can do that, then you will hopefully have not only created a rapport with your audience, but you have also made enough of an impact on that audience that they understand that you understand their point of view, but now they're going to be ready to consider your point of view. They're going to consider your thesis. They're going to consider your issue. They're going to consider your solution to the problem that exists. So this paragraph, or this section, this, basically 3 to 4 paragraphs probably, is really, really significant to the development of your paper. You need to make sure that you're looking at this as being really primarily impactful on your audience. Okay? So, how long is this paper going to be? Paper is going to be roughly 500 words. Okay? But the good news is if you get this 500-word paper written well, hopefully all of this stuff literally copies and pastes into the final paper that you're doing for your proposal argument research paper, okay, which is the next big paper that you're doing. So, this is usable. This is like that, not just a baby step. Like this is a turning point in your paper. Okay, so 500 word minimum, but you're going to be able to use this again. Use this information above to organize your paper. Remember, you don't need to define the problem. You already did that. Begin with your thesis, then include the proposed solution. Use your resources as much as needed, and make sure that you cite them in parenthetical notation, and make sure that you're giving me a references page with the list of sources that you used in this section of your paper only. Do not give me your full working bibliography. We are beyond the working bibliography. You're now working towards a references page that includes only the sources you're actually using in the papers that you're submitting. Okay, so this is really significant. This should be really helpful. I do want to show you one more website that I believe is really important and could be really, really helpful for creating this solution and even possibly your counter argument. The website that we're going to is procon.org. This is not a website that you can actually cite, as it's just snippets of information. It's kind of like Wikipedia, but academic. Okay, I like this website, but it's not a citable website. But it's great for counter arguments, and it's also great for the argument paragraphs that you're going to need to be including in the next section of your paper. So let's go here. Let's go something simple. Standardized tests. Okay. The thing that I like about this, or the way that this website is organized, is that the claims are listed and then it gives you a little bit of evidence that you can then follow. And the evidence is all footnoted. Okay, and you can scroll all the way to the bottom of the page, and you can evaluate the footnotes and be able to go to, they used to be there. Okay, you can click on the footnotes and they will take you to the original sources that you can then use to cite in your paper if you choose. Okay, but again, the things that I like are it addresses the issue, and then it gives you arguments or claims that are pro and arguments and claims that are against, and you're welcome to use these in your paper. These are not, this would not be plagiarism by any means. These are just the most common arguments, but make sure that any of the evidence that you use, okay, this footnoted evidence, it's going to, if you click on it, it's going to take you to another window. Make sure that you actually cite this stuff correctly. See, it takes you to the sources themselves, and then you can go and find those sources and determine whether or not they're valid for the argument and the paper that you are writing. Okay, so how's this one getting graded? It's a quick 50 points. It's 30 points for basically creating the stuff. Okay, presenting the information. I'm going to give you, if necessary, I'm going to give you some feedback and tell you where you're weak, where you're strong on this. Utilization of sources. Okay, I am expecting to see utilization of sources, and at this point I'm really checking that APA format, the in-text citations, and the fact that they connect with your references page. So this is a 50-point paper that literally can be copy and pasted, if done well, into your final paper. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to send me an email, and we will continue to work towards the next steps of your proposal research paper.